Hey, University Church family. I wish I could be with you in person to share these words, but hopefully I can use just a couple minutes of your time today to share some encouragement in this manner. And I'll start with reading a few verses from Philippians chapter 4, if you'd like to look there. Philippians 4. I'll be reading verses 4 through 13. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say rejoice. Let your gentleness be made known to all men. The Lord is at hand. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue and if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. The things which you learned and received and heard and saw in me, these do, and the God of peace will be with you. But I rejoice in the Lord greatly that now at last your care for me has flourished again, though you surely did care, but you lacked opportunity. Not that I speak in regard to need, for I have learned in everything, in whatever state I am, to be content. I know how to be abased, and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things I have learned both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Those are some of my favorite verses to turn to, really on any occasion, but especially in times of anxiety or turmoil, or when the storms of life are raging around us. Verse 7 is a very well-known verse in the Bible, and I know Josh Hartzell mentioned it in his video, and it's very encouraging to me to think about this, to consider the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding. The text surrounding verse 7 builds into the idea of how this can come about how we can obtain this peace, and it starts in verse 4. With a key word here being always. Usually we rejoice when times are good, when things are going well, but not when things are going bad. But this verse says to rejoice always. And think about who is writing this here. We're talking about the Apostle Paul, who had to undergo so many trials and hardships in this life, yet he still rejoiced in the Lord, and he wants others to as well. Because if we do this, it can change our whole perception and attitude about things that we fear or worry about. And verse 6 talks about the powerful avenue of prayer that we have, that we can let our request about everything be made known to God. And that includes the smallest things in our minds, because no problem is ever too great or too small for God. Sometimes I think we too often only pray big, and sometimes that's what the situation calls for. But I would also encourage you to spend some more time praying small for the little things, for the things that you might initially think, well, that doesn't really matter to God. Well, it does matter, and He wants to hear even our most minute problems in life. In verse 8 and 9, it talks about the mindset and the thoughts that we should be thinking about to have this peace. And then the reading ends with Paul speaking about himself, how he is growing to be content in whatever situation life throws at him because of the strength Christ gives him. We too can have that strength. We too can have that peace. And I would encourage you on your own time to think even more about these verses here and try to implement them into your life, because they can be life-changing. And not just in the times we're living in now, but beyond this, into the future. So I thank you for your time today, and Lord willing, I hope to see you all again very soon.